Here we go. Hallo liebe Freunde des Abendlandes und des Morgenlandes, wir sind wieder mal unterwegs. Die Pixelwarte hat sich keine Kosten scheuen dürfen und wir sind nach Griechenland gegangen. Ja, warum sind wir nach Griechenland gegangen? Weil Griechenland ein ganz, ganz wichtiger Ort ist mit mythologischem Hintergrund und vor allem mit der Essenz eigentlich des Dramas. Ja? Sämtliche alten Werke, auf denen ganz Hollywood beruht, auf denen eigentlich die gesamte Literatur auch beruht, die gesamte Philosophie, Psychologie, das kommt von hier und ich bin sehr froh, dass ich Georg heute hier begrüßen darf. Das ist wunderbar. Ja, ich bin total froh darüber, weil ich durfte Georg hier kennenlernen in dem Urlaub, in dem ich jetzt gerade bin mit meiner Familie. Und wir haben ein Gespräch gehabt, es war um 1 Uhr morgens und wir haben uns über Sachen unterhalten, über die Georg sich vielleicht noch nicht so in dieser Form unterhalten konnte. Ich auch nicht, weil es manchmal einfach nicht geht. Und in diesem Falle möchte ich das jetzt kurz nachholen und euch daran teilhaben lassen, weil wir sind hier in einem Buchladen in Andros. Andros ist eine wunderschöne kleine Insel in Griechenland, also eine von den vielen Inseln, die es hier gibt. Nicht? Aber Andros ist jetzt die Insel, die wir uns auserkoren haben, um hier unseren Urlaub zu machen. Und wie gesagt, ich bin in diesem kleinen Buchladen und der ist wunderbar. Hier gibt es wirklich alles. Ja? Nicht? Ihr könnt sehen, da hinten gibt es zum Beispiel Spielzeug aus Holz. Ja? Hier findet ihr alle möglichen Bücher, auch in Englisch. Nicht? Ihr findet hier eine ganz große Auswahl an Literatur und ihr findet hier Georg. Und Georg hat mir ein bisschen was über sein Leben hier erzählt und wie gesagt, ich möchte euch daran teilhaben. Wir werden das Gespräch in Englisch führen, damit wir sozusagen auch auf einer Höhe sprechen, weil weder mein Griechisch noch sein Deutsch sind in der Lage, da zu kommunizieren. So, it's very nice to have you here with us, and I want to talk immediately about Immersion because we found this book, and just maybe you can introduce yourself by telling me about this book.
Yeah, this is a book that was made by the photographs were taken by Kostas Toktaridis, which is probably the best and most famous diver in Greece, and he visited the island. For I think it took like 2 years to collect the pictures of shipwrecks, sunk ships around the island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ships around the island?
Many, yes.
Okay.
But that I know of, there is one just a bit open further than the gate of the port, you know, which is actually the photograph is very nice because the ship turned around and it's at the bottom of the ocean upside down. So
okay.
it looks like a head, like a fish head.
Wow, interesting.
It's nice. There are many. Another one that is very interesting and is from, I think it was from the Second World War. It was an English ship.
Okay.
That was in Vori beach, and it actually sunk there. And there is, you know, some people remember it's sunk on the beach, and it's very old. So the skeleton of the ship opened at the bottom of the of the beach. And it's like a fish, a skeleton fish, if you see it from above.
It's interesting.
But you can't see it from the beach. You have to dive.
You have to dive. How deep?
It's not very deep. You can hold your breath.
Okay. Because I see there's a lot of diving schools here. So for the divers, it's like the open field. You know, you can go everywhere. You see a lot of fishes. The nature is very good here. Yeah, you have still a high quality water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that brings us actually to the point where I want to lead us. It's about immersion, and immersion is a part that is very important here in this bookstore. Maybe you start. When did you start this bookstore here?
Well, my mother started it in 1993.
Okay.
It was actually the first bookstore in Gabriel. Still is the only one actually.
Yeah.
And it was the second bookstore on the island.
Okay.
Back then, and I have it now running it for 10 years almost.
Wow.
With my wife.
Wow, wonderful. And it provides not only knowledge, it provides a lot of, I think, historical moments also. You can actually go through Greek history, modern history, old history, ancient history, you know, like...
With the books.
Yeah, with the books.
Yeah, and you can find like ancient Greek, like the Iliad, or I try to have this stuff in here, but I try to keep a focus on the history's island because I found that many visitors, are interested to know a few things about the island.
Wow.
And it was also very nice that Kairios Library,
Yeah.
which is like it's a public library, but it's also an archive, and it has its own, it prints its own books, and it's like an archive of everything written about the island. And it has a very nice book about the history of Andros, from antiquity until more recent history.
Okay.
And it's in English.
Okay.
It was translated recently, so it's nice to. Sometimes people are interested that are from England or Germany or France.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's nice to have a book about the history of the island where you can, when we talk, I can see that they're very interesting and it's very nice for me.
Cool. Because you know a lot, I guess. Because you're born here?
Yeah,
You're born here.
I'm born here.
So
I was
you're
born here.
part of this island.
Yeah,
Oh, great.
I grew up here.
So you told me some kind of secret, or it's not really a secret because in our age maybe we don't talk so much about it, but you told me that you actually like to talk or to think or to immerse in stuff like that, because you told me in the winter time, when it's like different here, what do you do then?
Well, read books, listen to music, play games, this winter, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, took a lot,
Really?
a lot of my time. Yeah.
Odyssey. Why you took Odyssey and why you are an Assassin's Creed fan?
Well, a friend of mine actually played Assassin's Creed, and he was a big fan of like the three first games. And that's when he actually played the third one with Ezio. He started, nagging me.
Okay, okay.
Assassin's Creed is amazing and all that. And I actually started playing a few years later, but coming back to the talks I had with him. And the first game I played was Unity.
Okay.
And I found that it was, very nice. I liked the open world.
Okay.
And the continuity that gives the freedom that you have to, roam
Yeah.
any place that, historical, that the game.
Is it relevant historically? I mean, does it really contain not only the fiction of the characters, but also the faction of the reality in that time?
Well, I think the first games were aimed at more historical accuracy. I think that the later games, like especially Origins and Odyssey, are more in the realm of RPG. I think, but that's nice. I mean, I read some, like blogs and conversations of fans, and some people don't seem to like the fantasy element of the newer Assassin's Creed games, but I don't mind actually. I think it's interesting. It's another point of view, and it's fun.
It's like interpreting also fantasy with historical events.
Yes, I think that makes it more grounded, and maybe more interesting to me anyway. Yeah.
Odyssey is based more on Greek mythology. This is right.
Yes.
So, what did you find in Odyssey that triggered your immersive will to go through it, or to finish it, or to come to a certain point?
Well, I already played Origins, and having already played Unity, Syndicate. I played Rogue. I played the Ezio when the trilogy came out, and Unity was, for me, I liked the RPG element. So Odyssey worked for two reasons for me. One was that they went deeper into the RPG, on customizing your player and your experience. And the other thing is that it was, in the Greek landscape. So that's, if you live you happen to live in the place that a game takes place. Also, it's kind of weird and awkward and funny also because I actually I actually went to Andros in game.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
It's part of the game.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
it has a mason's cave with the Isu artifacts.
Okay.
And you go there every time in the story mode. You have to go there to Andros.
Wow, how do you
every
go?
time you have to upgrade your spear.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah,
Let me just have a look at the lights still blinking that we don't miss anything. Wonderful. Tell me, how do you travel to Andros in this game?
Well,
It's fast traveling, or is it really with
You
the
have to
ship
go-
and with the boat? Or?
it's at first you have to go with a boat to every place and unlock
Right.
the synchronizing points,
Uh-huh.
synchronization points, and then you can fast travel. But you first have to go there and unlock it.
And you found Andros, really? Andros
Yeah,
in
it's
this
on the
game?
map. It's on the map. It's
Wow,
on the map.
that's
You know,
cool.
it's a significantly smaller scale, but you know.
That's wonderful. Wow,
Yeah,
that's really-
it's but it's nice. You know, I think that people from France playing Unity and what happened with Notre Dame, which was. But I think that you get that sense that you actually play in game a place that you've actually walked and lived your entire life.
Yeah.
It's funny, you know.
It's interesting
weird.
because I think for Ubisoft it was like a dream come true since they are a French company. Yeah, I think they're mainly based in Canada, Montreal, but their heart beats for the European French living because most of the people abroad love the European way that they can't connect so much with because they don't live in. So they might interpret or redo it for themselves. So with Andros, I feel a bit the same that they try to get deeper in actually the myth and the storytelling of the ancient Greek. Yeah, this is where it comes from. The drama, the theater, the literature, everything comes from that. So actually going to that source. And you said you love RPG and you love the free way that you can decide yourself. But you also mentioned something where you said, on a certain point, this game didn't give me actually the value that I used to have before. And maybe you explain when did you get there to this point and what was that point?
With the second episode of the first DLC. Yeah. So I think that it was a big deal. But when we were talking, I think that when the marketing was like create your own Odyssey and live your own Odyssey, which implies that you have, and they promote it like that, freedom of choice to do your own thing. And at the end of the second episode, to help the story continue, the writers had to, whether you played with Alexios, then you were married and had a child with the daughter of anyway with a woman, and if you were Cassandra, there was a guy. And what I said is that I didn't mind. I felt that in order to move forward with the story, progress. The writers should have the liberty to do what they think they must do. But when you promote something like make your own choice, you have to consider that you have people with different sexual preferences,
ambitions or kind. And, totally.
When you put in, because when the first DLC happened, the second episode, a lot of people put in hundreds of hours playing, and you had choice, so you actually get to customize your experience in the game, and you reach a point when this is forced, you don't have a choice.
You felt that?
Yeah, it was you couldn't avoid it. I mean, you had to be in a relationship with this person.
Okay.
I played as Cassandra, so you had to do that in order to have a child, and the story would progress and actually connect with Origins from that point on.
Interesting.
But I don't think that this is bad, and I found it very interesting that it connected with Origins, like giving a continuity to the bloodline. I just think that when you promote it like that, and you know that there are gamers that have preferences and put like hundreds of hours in the game,
Right.
you can't make that choice for
Yeah.
them and force it on them.
That's right. My next question would be actually, when did you start gaming? What was your first game?
Well, here growing up, access to games and consoles, they were pretty expensive. So I actually my first game console, and it wasn't mine; it was a friend's. But we would gather like 10 kids playing there. Was a Sega Mega Drive.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
played Street Fighter there, and
Wow.
Sonic, and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then another friend had the first PlayStation where we played like Tekken and all that. And
You started in the 90s playing games.
yes, yes,
Cool.
yes. But not it wasn't like a steady thing, like me playing games.
No, I guess so.
But from time to time, I would play. I enjoyed Max Payne very much. I played all of them. Silent Hill, as I told you.
Must go.
Yeah, great game.
Yeah.
Great game.
What do you like on this Japanese tradition of storytelling? What was your trigger point in Silent Hill?
I think what got me in and like really got me hooked was the environment. That that like duality, like it felt like you pulled the curtains off the reality and it was something dark, and I think that's why that game was so successful, because it played that, and it appealed to a lot of people, I think, like me.
Did you hear about that in America? There's some region where underground there's mines burning still. They can't
Really?
point off the fire. That is actually I don't know if it's a legend or if it's real, but many people say that because of this fact, somebody traveled there and they found out about this. Silent Hill is not such a fiction. It's also, there is something, yeah, that is somewhere and it's still burning and it's still hot and it's like hell, And
Nice.
it's I also thought about it, and I don't know how the Japanese people found out about it, but it's a game with a long history, and I also hope that, and this is where we actually came to, that was the second point, that we realized that not only the environment triggers people, it's also the way we talked about BT, yeah, about Hideo Kojima and Del Toro and Norman Reedus doing this wonderful work together.
Yeah.
And now they are actually continuing with Death Stranding. But we realized something, and maybe you just can repeat what we just found out, about the character, that the binding actually now is on
yes.
many levels.
Yes, because I forget the name of the character,
Neo?
the actor.
Keanu Reeves? Or
Keanu
Norman
Reeves.
Norman
Keanu
Reedus, right.
Yeah, and when we discussed it, we actually realized, and it was very nice that both, like you said, Keanu Reeves on Cyberpunk and Norman Reedus on Death Stranding, their backstory, the work they did before the games, actually creates like a depth, and it gives depth to the game, because on Cyberpunk, I mean, who is the actor who would be like more Cyberpunk than Keanu Reeves? Johnny Mnemonic and Matrix.
Right.
Or with Reedus, I mean, you see him on the poster of and on the trailer for Death Stranding, and you see that face and this dystopic, fantastic environment, and you have him on your mind from The Walking Dead, and it just it clicks, it connects. He's that's it. It feels real, actually. It's believable.
So we stop with the marketing. Maybe you can refer to that, how clever they made it, because from the marketing aspect today, a big AAA title needs a pretty long way to come to a point where it's going to be sold, right?
Yeah. And we were talking about Keanu Reeves, right? And I mean, he was perfect for the casting they did. I mean, they couldn't have chosen a better face for that game. I mean, the moment I saw him and that he, did mock-up for that game, I mean, I was like, yeah.
He's going to play a very important part in this. He is going to be a character that you will see, that you will add with, but the other can't see. So the other NPCs in the game might not even realize him. So I'm a bit afraid that it goes in this direction of a fight club, where you have this crazy Brad Pitt that is actually existing in his fantasy, but he leads you to things that you don't want to believe.
Could it be like a virus, a different AI
That's
in
cool.
the upgrade?
That's cool.
Maybe.
That's cool. I will ask all that question with the Cyberpunk guys when
That
we're
would
going
be
to
very-
that interview.
That would be very interesting.
You will see
actually.
that. I will keep that question. Yeah, maybe you can ask them. You can ask this guy. Yeah, and I will immediately transfer that, and they will see it maybe before that. And like we did with Richard Brosmowski, and this will be a question I have to keep. Yeah. So we already come to the end. I really enjoyed that, and I wish we could go on talking about that, because you're actually the first guy I can talk to about, and you have this wonderful background of literature, of all the knowledge. Do you see gaming a bit like reading, or like cinema, or where is your preference towards gaming?
Gaming can be cinematic. I mean, and can have a very a big influence from literature, like Red Dead Redemption.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that game. Whether you liked it or not, I mean, it had a big reference in, to literature, to American classical literature. I mean, you felt it in the game. So I think that it's a different experience. It contains many different elements, like cinematic or all that. And I think it's very interesting where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's evolving very fast now, and I feel that the studios now realize that 3D and how lifelike or realistic a game might be. Content is very important. The story you tell has to be strong.
Yeah.
And coming back to Odyssey, for me. And Origins also. Good stories are, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the game could be amazing, but if the story doesn't, you don't like the story, then you won't play.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, from the fountain of the storytelling, now back to the Gamescom. I'm really happy. Ich habe mich total gefreut, das hier machen zu können. Ich könnte das jeden Tag machen, mit Menschen über Spiele reden auf diese erlesene und wunderbare Art und mit dieser differenzierten Haltung. Do you have anything to say to the audience? Something you want to add to Andros? Something you want to add to the bookstore? Something you want to add at all?
I don't know. I've had fun with this interview. I hope you enjoy it, everyone who sees it, and
Come by.
Yeah.
Come by, come to Andros, find yourself immersing in diving, immersing in the history. And if you're not sure, play Origins, play Odyssey. In Odyssey you will find Andros, and you can have a small virtual step into it before you reach the island and you travel around. Which is the nicest beach here? Which would you recommend?
I would say Ahla Beach is the most beautiful beach on the island, but my favorite is Lefka. It's more secluded and the access is not that easy, so you have privacy.
So when people come here, what was the name of the store?
Tologari.
Dolorari.
It's a difficult word, and it means like the total of valuables.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
A valuable object that someone has.
Wow. What a wonderful finish. Thank you so much, George. It was such a pleasure for me to talk to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys, bis bald. Na, wir sehen uns auf der Gamescom.